Welcome to the Gorgeous Gray podcast. I am Nicole Scott, your host, registered holistic nutritionist, rest mindset coach, author of the Gorgeous Gray movement, and the co-creator of the Menopause Reset program. In this podcast, we have real conversations about aging as a woman and all the pressure and uncertainty we feel as we head into menopause and beyond. Let's face it, aging is not an easy conversation to have, but I say it's time to talk about the messy middle and offer hope when we feel like giving up on ourselves. Let's talk about our fears around gray hair, our muffin tops, and even our dry, itchy vaginas and everything in between. I will help you reconnect to your feminine energy and offer real solutions from experts in their field to navigate aging as a woman. I believe we, as women, deserve to shine even brighter in this next chapter of life. So with a sense of humor and a lot of compassion, let's dive into these vulnerable conversations. Hello, gorgeous gray women. It's Nicole Scott here, and you're in for another treat, another episode with my dear friend, Ryllonna.
Hello,
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
We just had lunch yesterday, so I feel like I'm caught up with her. It's so great. I've met her through our Silver Sister community online and Instagram. And we really want to dive in on kind of three areas today on this episode. The first one is going to be, of course, sharing her beautiful gray hair story and when it all happened, and you can see her journey. The second is finding love on this gray journey, which is pretty cool, and the lessons she's learned along the way. And then closing it off with the menopause journey and talking about how our metabolism slows down and the conflict that we have as women. We have more freedom and we want to have more fun and we want to try on new stuff, but sometimes there's a price that we pay, and it's this us being torn. So we're going to dive into those three main topics today. So thank you for joining me. And I know you've worked all day and you're squeezing this in your busy schedule, and I really appreciate that. So let's dive in and hear about your story. We're the same age. We're like 52.
Yeah,
And let's talk about when you joined this movement.
At 52, I stopped coloring my hair September 2019. So before everyone jumped on the bandwagon with COVID, I remember it was really quite funny. It wasn't something I had really decided or planned out or counted down for. I had one friend who was contemplating doing it, and it was just time for me to color my hair because I had to do it. I did it myself. I had to go every 3 weeks. It was ridiculous. So I've had a good box dye, but it was like where you mix your processing and your dye, whatever. But it's still a pain in the butt to do every 3 weeks. So colored my hair, and I'm getting ready to go to a birthday party for a friend the next day. And I wanted to wear, or that afternoon, and I wanted to wear my white sundress, which tied behind my neck. And I have dark hair naturally. So my hair was quite almost black, dark brown, black. And I went, oh, I can't wear that dress because the dye will get on it. And I went, that's ridiculous. And it just sat with me. And for the next couple of weeks, I was like, why am I doing this? And I started looking on Pinterest, started looking on Instagram, checking out other Silver Sisters. And I went, you know what? Let's just try it. Let's give it a shot. And my only regret is I didn't do it sooner. Like I did the transition highlights. So I let it grow out for probably 2 months. And because the hair was so dark, the grow out was quite evident, obviously. So I did a lot of hats. I did a lot of, just trying to be creative with it. And then I finally, I went and got some transition highlights just to blend at the top, like nothing major. And that's been it. So it's been over 3 years now, and I am so grateful, so glad.
Good for you. And isn't that funny how it can be that one moment? And I've interviewed a lot of women, and it's like that one moment in time where it's like it makes us question. So you said like you almost like you sat with it, it marinated for you, and you were just like thinking like you said, this is ridiculous.
What am I doing? This is ridiculous. And the more I researched and got in touch and started following other women who had embraced their silvers, it was super inspiring. And you know, I said the one thing I regret is I didn't do it sooner.
Right.
And my reason for that is because I was not expecting the growth and
Right.
acceptance and
Yeah.
emotional journey that it became.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It opens us up. Let's dive into that a little
Mhm.
bit. What came with the lessons of letting your hair grow out and accepting? Like there's so many lessons, I think, for so many women. What was yours through this process?
I think it was really an exercise in self-acceptance. I think
Mm,
that's probably the best way to describe it. You know,
yeah.
embracing aging. You know, we all,
Yeah.
as you are all aware, we hear anti-aging products and, you
Yeah.
know, cosmetic surgeries and all of those things.
Mm,
And people do what's right for you,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it should be a choice, and it hasn't been marketed as a choice.
Right.
It's been marketed as the only option because heaven forbid anyone knows your real age. And I've never lied about my age. I never have
Mm-hmm.
and never will
Mm-hmm.
until I was, other than trying to sneak in the bars when I was underage. But I've never said I was younger. And I thought, you know, I'm 50. Well, I was 49 at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? I'm 49-year-olds have gray hair. Who cares?
Yeah.
But as I said, it took me on this journey. And so that journey of self-acceptance, that journey
Mm,
of acknowledging and embracing and really celebrating.
yeah.
Fuck, I made it to 50. Like, so
Yeah.
many women don't,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And there is that phrase, you know, aging is a privilege not
Mm,
enjoyed by many.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would I hide that?
So good. And
Mhm.
hence why you've named your Instagram channel. What is it? You can get people to follow you.
Certainly, it's at explore_your_sparkle. So
Mm,
explore your sparkle.
yeah.
And that's the sparkle in your hair, the sparkle in your life,
Yeah.
the sparkle in you, right? It really
Yeah.
is about embracing all those joyful, beautiful parts of us that we sometimes forget to recognize.
Yeah. So good. I love that. Any negative comments in the journey through either colleagues at work or women or men that you still remember that you're like, oh yeah, or was it mostly positive?
Not really. I was dating a man when I decided, and
Yeah.
he thought it was great.
Yeah.
I ended that relationship a couple months after.
Yeah.
But so I was single, growing my hair out, which was interesting. But no, not
Mhm.
really. Like, I think my kids were kind of like, really? My
Mm,
daughter was like, oh, that's cool. My son was
yeah.
like, oh, okay. But nothing really like, oh, you should color your hair or any of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It was, in fact, people at work, there was two younger people at work who colored their hair gray on purpose.
Oh, there
And
you
so I was
go.
like, okay, no, why am I paying to cover it when she's paying to have it? Like, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
love it.
it was definitely, did I have moments where I questioned it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all roses. Let's not kid
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. There are
Mm-hmm.
those days where you're, you know, feeling down, or
Yeah.
you're, you know, feeling old and like you look like a haggard old witch.
Yeah.
I've had those
Yeah.
moments, a
Oh,
hundred
yeah.
percent. But you know what? I'd throw on a hat and some red lipstick and big earrings and whatever, or
Yeah.
not wear a hat, just put it up and embrace it.
Yeah.
But that's where connecting with other women who were going through the process really
Mm,
made a huge difference. You
yeah.
know, on Instagram, I would see women in real life with gray hair, and I would stop and say, oh my God, I love your hair. And it would just
Yeah.
initiate that conversation. And I'm now on the other side where women who are starting to grow theirs that are stopping me, which is
Of
really quite cool.
course. You're the mentor. You're the one. Wow, you did it. Tell me
I'm just on
how,
the other
right?
side of the
Yeah.
journey. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Mhm.
let's dive into this conversation about finding love.
Okay.
You
Well,
were
as I said,
single, right? You were
I was.
single, you were
Mhm.
online, you
Oh, and
had
then
your,
COVID hit.
and then
So, you know,
COVID hit. Then there's like, how do you date online?
oh, yeah, you don't. But anyway, um, yeah, I mean, I was single. It was COVID. You couldn't really do much, but you're also home alone and bored and lonely. So you get online, you chat with a few people. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, I actually, because I wanted to connect with other women on Instagram, I had
Hmm.
created because prior to that, my Instagram account was private. It was friends
Yeah.
and family. And so I created the account to open up and made
Yeah.
it public. And it was during COVID, and I had posted a picture just of me with my hair and myself and my daughter. She's 21 now, and a friend of mine who was renting space in my house. So we were in our bubble, but there was a Lady Gaga concert on TV. And so we're like, you know what, let's just have fun. So we dressed up like, not even as if we were going to the concert, but almost as if we were in the concert, like
I love it.
sparkles
Yeah.
and hair, and we just had a blast, and we had fun. So I posted this picture, and there was a person who had commented on it. So it wasn't a sleazy slide in your DMs, right? It was a respectable post and it didn't have like, oh angel, blah blah craziness. He just commented, he said, what a great way to make the most out of a tricky situation. Good for you. And I'm like, who is this person? So I looked at it quickly, and it said he lived in Sydney, and I'm from Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I started looking, and then I realized, no, he's from Sydney, Australia.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness, yes.
But we started, I followed him, and we started having, really lovely conversations. And over time, it just kind of grew into this thing where we would talk to each other every day. And that was at the beginning of COVID. And here we are 2.5 years later, and I'm engaged, moving to Australia. So how crazy is that?
OMG, that
And
is
yes, I've met
freaking,
him in real life. For those
yeah.
listening, I've met him in real life. So because of COVID, the real life meet had to stay delayed because Australia's borders were shut down for quite some time. But we spent most of 2022 together visiting different places. So he came here last January for like 5 weeks. I was there for 2 months in March to May. He was here for the summer. I went there from October to December, and then he was back here for Christmas and New Year's. So it's been an adventurous year.
Wow.
Let me tell you that.
Tell me, so let's just get this straight. If you didn't go on this silver hair journey and allow your silver to come in, you wouldn't have started an Instagram channel.
Nope.
And then you would have never met the love of your life and been engaged.
And literally be moving to Australia.
Australia! Are you kidding me?
And it's funny,
amazing.
That, as I said, the silver hair definitely helps you to have that self-acceptance and that growth journey. And for me, part of that growth journey has really just been be open to possibility, whatever it is in life, whether it's hair, image, career, love, friendships, connections. I mean, look at you and I, and some of the other women that I've met through this journey have become some of my closest friends. Again, that wouldn't have happened. And if we just surrender to what it will be and be open to the possibility of what it can bring to your life, it can be quite magical.
So great. We talked about this yesterday when we were having lunch about the realness of it hitting in, though, because you're a mama bear.
I am. So
and the struggle is real when we have to make hard decisions about either making our priority number one now because we've made our kids priority for so long. Do you want to talk about the big decision that you had to make to say the decision? Because I think this is an important message for women, because I think we do say no a lot to life because we put our kids always ahead, and we might miss opportunity that might serve our highest power.
Absolutely. And I think too, as a single mom, it's even harder sometimes, right? Because if I was still with their dad and we were still together, it's more of he and I would be planning our things together, but I'm not, right? And so being on my own and now having this new relationship, and they get along lovely, and I'm very blessed. He's a wonderful man, and my children like him quite a lot, but it's the other side of the world, right? And so, as I said, we spent a lot of time traveling this past year. That's obviously not sustainable long term. So we had to look at what makes sense. And yes, I have kids here, but my kids are 21 and 23. My 21-year-old daughter lives with me. My son is away at university, only a couple of hours away, but he still hasn't lived at home with me for a while. And so we had to look at, okay, what comes next? He could have moved here, but I'm at a different stage in my career. Oh, did I mention he's 13 years younger?
I was wondering if you were going to point that out. So
Forgot that.
awesome.
But it honestly, it's kind of a non-issue. That's why I
Right.
don't even mention it. But
Right.
career-wise, we're at different stages, right? I've been
Yes.
doing my job for
Yeah.
a long time. I'm probably ready for something new, but I'm not climbing that ladder the way he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And so for him to walk away from his career right now would basically be a career suicide.
Yeah.
And I'm also kind of ready for an adventure. I'm ready for something different. And so we've kind of decided that I'm going to go there, and well, not forever, right? We'll probably be there, I don't know, maybe 2 to 5 years. Then at some point we'll come back and we'll live here again. So it's definitely not a see you Canada, I'm gone, but
Yeah.
it's what's right for right now. But in making that decision, obviously I had to think about how does that impact my children. And I have had, one or two friends say, well, you can't leave, because this was earlier in the circumstance, but well, you can't leave, your kids are here. And I'm like, well, but my kids are growing, and they are growing, and they will leave. Whether they leave the town I live in, or they leave the country or the province, they're going to go on and create their own lives, as they should, right? Like this is their time to do that. And so when I came home from Australia the last time, my daughter and I sat up and we like drank a bottle of wine and talked all about my trip, and then talked about what comes next. And I said to her, I said, it's really, I'm gonna get emotional. It's really hard for me to leave you. And don't think it isn't, because it really is.
Yeah.
But it's also something that it's my turn now, right? It's my turn to do what I need to do. Because let's just play this out. Let's say I don't go and I end this relationship because I can't move. Would I date someone else? I'm sure I would, but it wouldn't be the relationship I have. It wouldn't be, as you said, that soulmate, that absolute connection like I've never had before.
Right.
And so, okay, let's just play that again. Let's say I still do that for her or for him, or just because of the mom responsibility.
Yeah.
She's going to go off and do her thing, and build her life with her partner and be with her friends and go off and find her career, as she should.
Yeah.
So, it's not fair to expect and she doesn't expect, but it's not fair for myself to expect to not do that either, right? And even, let's say the relationship doesn't work, because, at this stage of my life, if I'm getting engaged and I have 2 kids, we know relationships don't always last forever.
Yeah.
But just because it doesn't last forever doesn't mean it didn't work.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to last forever to have been impactful and important.
Oh, so I love that message, right? The
Right?
season that we can be in relationships as they're seasonal.
And let it serve you the way it's supposed to. And so if we get 5 great years and then we part ways, what a great 5-year adventure I've had.
Yeah.
Right? Or even if he turned around tomorrow and said, I can't do this anymore, I'm still ready for that adventure. So I'm still ready for something different, whether it's moving to a different province or another different country, whatever.
I love that. And I think that message is so important for women to hear, is that we get to a place where we deserve to have, the next chapter the way that we want it, not ruled by our kids. And I see so many women still ruled by the kids, right?
It's funny the way
and
you
almost like
describe that.
paralyzing,
Yeah.
right?
It's funny the way you describe that. I did a workshop with a woman named Mandy Morris. She does a lot of self-growth stuff. And we did this meditation where you kind of imagine yourself watching your life story. And then at the end, you're watching the credits.
Yeah.
Who's the writer? You are. Who's the producer? You are. Who's the creative artistic director? You are. Yeah. It's your story. You get to decide what happens next.
Yeah.
We forget that so often.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. Great analogy of the story, right? Your story, create it. Love it. Okay, let's move on to a fun conversation called menopause. I know that you kind of got through it pretty elegantly. It sounds like didn't have too many symptoms, but you're at this stage where we're just talking, man, what's going on with my metabolism? I can't eat and drink and party like I used to, which is kind of like, it kind of sucks because if you've known me in my younger age, I knew how to party. I was the party girl. I was the one that stayed out late. I was the one that could drink anybody under the table, and do it all over again. I was a party girl. And as as the 40s came upon me, and then early 50s and stuff like that, I was like, holy cat, I can't do this anymore. I can't. So let's talk about that. Let's talk
But
about
my problem is I still think I can.
well, you can.
This is the issue, because I still want to, I still can, but then I
Yeah.
pay for it for a couple of days, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's not so much, I don't mean hangovers so much
Yeah.
as just the impact of the metabolism, right? Like
Yeah.
when we chatted yesterday, I said, guys, I got to be honest, the day before I had Wendy's for lunch and pizza for dinner. Like,
Yeah.
I know that's not a good
Mm-hmm.
choice. I know
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to really love myself enough
Yeah.
to do those hard things that are
Mm.
going to give me the longevity and the life and the energy that I want, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where it's been a struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent the last year on vacation.
Yeah.
I was working here and working in Australia,
Yeah.
but when you're constantly traveling and
Yeah.
entertaining, and I want to take him to all the places I go to and he wants to take me to all his
Yeah.
places, I'm not making smart choices.
Right.
So it's time now to kind of reel that back in.
Yeah.
I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my life. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not super heavy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not my norm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not about weight. It's
Yeah.
not, that's not the point, but it's about feeling like myself,
Yeah.
having the energy,
Yeah.
the energy to live, to do the
Yeah.
fun things I want to do, to nourish
Mm-hmm.
my body so that I can live long,
Yeah.
right? I got to keep up
Yeah.
with my younger boyfriend, whatever.
I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, so
So,
it's been a challenge, and after our
mhm,
chat yesterday, Nicole, I mean, I'll give you that credit. You helped me kind of give me some pointers, some baby steps, right, in
yes.
terms of what comes next,
Yeah.
and some really kind of foundational changes that
Yeah.
I can start with. And
I love
we
it.
talked a lot about giving yourself grace, and I use that
Mhm.
phrase a lot with friends, but I use it more about emotional stuff and life stuff. But you're right, I
Mhm.
need to give myself grace about the journey to healthy living again. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to do.
So great. So if there's
Mhm.
like, as we close off this beautiful message to women, it's about, embracing your sparkle from the inside out, whether you decide to go gray, just being that bright light for yourself, right? Finding love along the way, taking a risk, moving across, the world to be with somebody that you met online through the pandemic. Just a beautiful story. And I'm like, I'm coming to visit you.
Yes, you are.
And then just closing off to recognize that you want this long, healthy life, and that you are willing, to take those small baby steps.
Well,
Wrap
you
this
have
up in a
to.
bowl for us.
Yeah.
Wrap it up in a
Well,
bow.
and it's kind of like you had also said too. We were talking about as you get older, and through this journey of self exploration and embracing my sparkle. And sometimes that sparkle is, that bright light, that flame,
Yeah.
that party girl, or that,
Yeah.
big personality. And you don't apologize it for anymore, you don't apologize for it anymore, and all of that.
Mm,
With that, you kind of think, well, no, I don't want to go to bed, I want to stay up and watch a movie or have drinks with my
yeah.
girlfriends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to balance that, because that's not
Mm,
sustainable either. The same way me traveling back and forth isn't
yeah.
sustainable. You need that piece, that foundational kind of
Yeah.
layer of taking care of yourself, that self-love.
Yep.
It's really,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I
So
love it.
love yourself enough to embrace yourself as you age, love yourself enough to take a chance on love and be open to possibility, and love yourself enough to take care of your health.
Love it. Love that message. And as you said, it's like, I think for me, when I was thinking about this, is like, do I always have to go to bed at like 9 o'clock? Do I always like it's like almost like boring. Like,
Yeah.
the word comes out of boring. No one would ever say that was boring, but you get into these ruts. But you use the word so well, which is balance. And I think that's the message is women is be in tune to what balance looks like for you, right?
And listen to what you need. Listen to what your
Yes.
body needs, what your heart needs.
Yes.
I had to laugh when I saw the look on your face yesterday when you said, well, what time do you normally go to bed?
Oh,
And I'm like, 1 a.m. You're like,
I know. I'm like, I've already been sleeping for 4 hours.
I know, I know.
It's all good. It looks different for each one of us, right? And what feels right for us. But I'm glad that you said you went to bed at 11:30 last night. And I'm like, yes, yes, baby steps, baby steps. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. I'm
Thank
so glad that
you.
we got your story out there and some inspiration for women
Thank you
that,
for having
you
me.
know, are not only struggling with their health, with their hair, and taking a risk just in their life overall. You inspire, and I'm so proud of you. Thanks for tuning into this awesome episode, and we will see you on our next show. Good
Great.
night.
Thanks for having me.
I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If this message landed for you, make sure to leave a review and tag me, Nicole Scott at Gorgeous Gray Movement, and make sure to share with your friends. You can head over to my free Facebook community, Gorgeous Gray Movement, or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring interviews. If you are still struggling and need additional support, you can take a look at my website, nicolescott.ca, and learn more about my new Menopause Reset program that I'm so excited for. Until next time, ladies, be well and own your sparkle.